Welcome back to our last week of Hospo Happy Hour, proudly brought to you by Hospo for Life and Warner's Distillery. In today's episode, we'll be talking about keeping up self-care with Amanda Brown for the first round, followed by special guest chef Zac Sykes for last drinks. Let's get the week going. Up for the first round and their last time on the show, we have psychologist Amanda Brown. Welcome back to the show, Amanda.
Hey Liam, thanks for having me back.
No, my pleasure. So today's topic, we're discussing keeping up self-care. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, I think self-care is a real ongoing battle. It can really be a challenge, when we've got work and parenting commitments or just other things that demand our time. It's something that, I think often comes second to the other priorities that we have. So hopefully today we can, talk about maybe highlighting the importance of self-care as we move back into picking up some of the demands that have fallen away.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to go into our first slide. Talk me through it.
Okay. So I guess when we look at self-care, I think a really good analogy, and you might like this a bit, Liam, is, airline attendants really say it well. If the plane hits turbulence and the oxygen masks come down, they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, because if you don't do that, you won't be able to help anybody else.
100%.
Yeah. But with self-care, we don't often take this approach. We find it hard to prioritize self-care. And it can be really easy, I think, for us to take our physical health, our mental health for granted, and prioritize like other things, as I was saying. So it can seem too big or too hard or just not important. But I think there are things that everybody can do, and I guess this is a reminder that we've all hit that same long-term turbulence, and we really need to take care of ourselves and our bodies and our minds. Yeah,
it's so true. And I think, I've found over the years, and that I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to, get everything done, like everything had to be done today and that, but, that's not prioritizing things properly, and that because some things don't need to be done, and some things can wait. So it's, putting things, putting yourself then first and going, well, hey, I need a break, and that. So, really prioritizing what you do during the day, and, going, well, I need to set aside some time for myself, and that to recharge and feel better.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like if we keep doing that though, we will end up running out of steam. We won't be able to keep that approach where we're just focusing on those productive tasks. It's a really good point, Liam. So I guess if we were to define self-care, I think we've all heard this term a lot more than previously. It's a key focus with all the impacts of COVID become known. We're told more and more to focus on self-care. And I guess, if we look at it, it's looking after ourselves and our health and well-being in both our personal and professional capacity. And many of your Hospo Happy Hours have really drilled into all of the different things that we know works for helping us to take care of ourselves, really. You've had gratitude, taking care of your body with movement and sleep, eating good nutritious food, managing stress. All of those things are all aspects of self-care. And I guess if we look at the activities, they're things actually that we do purposefully to take care of ourselves. So all the information that you've shared with your viewers is really great, because we need to first understand what we can do or what might help us, and then we need to work out how we're going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess I'd probably ask the question, why is self-care important? As you mentioned before, with prioritizing, doing all your tasks first, if we continue that way, unfortunately, we don't have an unlimited energy supply. We have limits to our physical, emotional, and mental energy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it takes a toll. So any of the things that we do, like caregiving or working, or even things that are positively stressful, can take a toll on us. And it's important to almost look at self-care in a way to refuel our supplies. And in particular, big stresses like being stood down, like many of your viewers are facing at the moment, facing that employment uncertainty, and even smaller things like challenges in relationships, or even working that 12-hour shift again to meet customer demands while you're juggling all the new work health safety rules with COVID restrictions would be a stressor.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't had to do before.
That's right. None of us have been in this position before, so it takes a toll. So it's important that we learn to take care of ourselves by purposefully engaging in self-care. And it's not always easy, but if there's something that you can do, each day, week, or month, then it's a good start. Yeah. We know that there's benefits. So all of your other speakers have spoken about the numerous benefits of getting moving or looking after your stress levels. But in essence, if we do self-care well, we're going to have a greater capacity to manage those stresses.
Yeah.
Improved personal resilience. We're more likely to be able to have reduced mental health problems, better physical health and immune function, and probably more likely to live longer as well. So you're probably already doing some aspects of self-care, but it's important to keep it up, particularly as we face the changes again as we have in our daily lives and transition back to work. Even though it's exciting, we're still probably going to feel fatigued, and we're going to be having more demands placed upon us. I understand too, for people that work in hospitality, self-care is really hard. You guys work long hours and split shifts, work across meal times, and you typically work at times that are social, like weekends and evenings. And that gets in the way of seeing your friends possibly, and also sleep. So generally it's a juggle. And it is important to deliberately consider what you're going to do. So it takes work. If we were to consider self-care, we'd want to consider doing activities across a range of domains. So we've got different domains, include spiritual domains where we find and focus on our meaning and purpose. That might include doing mindfulness meditation or be involved in religious or spiritual groups, if that's what you're interested in. Lifestyle, so those physical health and well-being activities like eating a balanced diet, exercise, and having those good relationships. Professional well-being is important too, so that might be participating in things to enhance your skills or stretch yourself at work, having a mentor or mentee. And then the psychological well-being, that includes that self-reflection, maybe engaging in a non-work hobby or practicing gratitude. So anything that we do really should be personally relevant and values driven. So I guess, Liam, what are some of the self-care strategies that are your go-to? What are some of the things that you use?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and that, as I mentioned before, and that is knowing when to stop, and whether it's taking work longer than what it should, like past dinner time, like working in the office all day, and then going, okay, like I'm gonna have dinner and I'm gonna keep going on what I'm doing. It's time to stop, and you need to learn when to stop, and when it's your time and work time, and keeping those two things separate. So you can start to enjoy the little things that make you happy, make you feel relaxed, and less stressed. I guess that's probably the biggest one for me. And that comes down to, as well, as I mentioned, prioritizing, and going, do I need to do that today? No. And that, do I need to get all of my meetings done today? No. People can wait till tomorrow. and that, like, some people don't like waiting, but you know, you've got to do it. And that we've had a couple of other speakers interviews on the show, and you know that they keep their routines to only having meetings on certain days of the week. I've actually implemented a little bit of that into my schedule the last few weeks, and it works a lot better actually.
Yeah, nice.
Get it all done, and then you've got time for yourself, and you know, really making sure that you know you are doing things for yourself as well, and that not putting everybody else first, and that putting yourself first,
Yeah.
and it really, it lifts your mood, it lifts, you know, everything around you to, you know, be able to cope with what you're doing.
Yeah. So you really prioritize your work-life balance. That's something that keeps you well. Yeah. I would find that something for myself as well. And I do find if I've overcommitted myself, it's the little things that drop. So I might have a bit more chocolate, or I might, you know, not exercise, even some of those healthy things that I try to do. And that then, you know, impacts how I show up for others.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, making sure that we've got that work-life balance is, you know, important. And I guess you touched too on some of the common pitfalls to self-care, which is, you know, not seeing it as important and possibly prioritizing other things. And maybe too seeing self-care in itself as another task or something stressful. So it really should be something that we do that's enjoyable, like you mentioned. And if we keep focusing on work tasks all the time, or things that demand our energy or deplete us, we're probably going to lead to a burnout state. I guess it's kind of the equivalent to running your car on the red line and hoping it'll get there. Or I know we've had that saying, burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. So I guess what are some of the fundamentals of self-care? It's going to really be dependent on you, like what's important to you and your personality and your preferences. But I'd really recommend that you aim to have multiple tools in your toolkit. So have a baseline for self-care, such as that like regular exercise and a healthy diet, and then have specific strategies in response to different challenges. So it's really good to have variety. So knowing when to stop. Sorry, what were you going to say, Liam?
And it's easy to do in hospitality. Like, everyone burns themselves out once or twice in their careers, and it's tricky for anyone that says they've never hit a burnout stage in their career. I think they'd be lying, and that, like, we all hit a point where, you know, all of a sudden things get harder. It's harder to wake up each day. It's harder to get dressed and go to work, and that because you've just hit the end of the road. And you know, it's so important to be able to, you know, flip that around and recharge yourself. And I think, you know, coming out of COVID, I think we've all learned a lot of strategies, which I think can reshape the way that, you know, we move forward in the industry as well. And a lot of our viewers, I think, you know, you can take a lot of this on board and implement that into, you know, your daily routine, which will make things a lot more simple at work than what we've been used to for so many years.
Yeah, well, I hope so, most definitely. And I know even myself, you know, my pace, I've really enjoyed the slower pace. So that's something I'm going to try to keep moving forward too. Just got to protect that as the demands come on through. So I guess, you know, when we think of self-care, I think a lot of the time we think about the physical aspects of self-care. So, you know, eating right, exercising, for example. But it is important to take care of your energy, similar to what you were saying with prioritizing, and to try to take care of your emotions as well. So if we were to think about how we do that, often when we experience negative emotions, we kind of don't always feel comfortable tackling them head on. So you may feel tempted to push down your feelings if you're feeling tired, sad, or angry, but it's really healthy to kind of feel them and then accept them and try to move on. And if we're feeling not very good, it can really help to put a label on those emotions. So naming it, like this is sadness or this is anger, and then try to accept them. So you don't have to like them. Emotions aren't good or bad, but really it's about trying to get that information that emotions are giving you. So emotions are really useful. They help us understand some important aspects in our environment. So something we like or we don't like. So it can help to consider what's triggered you into that way and really reflect on why you feel a certain way. Yeah. And pay attention. So you might find that how you deal with situations may change. So try to work out various techniques as well that help you, similar to different ailments. So if we've got a headache, we might go and take Panadol, for instance, or Nurofen. Try to work out similar treatments that might help you in your emotions. And you can start to then learn what works for you more quickly and easily. I guess other strategies for happiness and mental health we've talked about on the show, which include looking after your body, getting out and moving regularly, good sleep hygiene. I actually encourage people to sleep like a robot, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time if you can, and eat good food that's going to help your mood and gut microbiota, as been discussed as well. We know looking after our relationships is really important too, and that might be in contact with family and friends, but also, like you mentioned as well, being assertive in your needs. So you may need to, consider how you can enhance your relationships or perhaps your communication skills so you can ask for what you need and express your feelings to get a break or to have what you need from your relationships.
And communication's huge in everything that we do.
That's right. It's inevitable, right? So we want to try to get better at it if we can. And I guess some of the other things are, try to train your brain to see the positive. We had your other episodes talk about gratitude and how our brain loves problems. And if we can cultivate some optimistic and positive thinking habits, we're going to have enhanced personal resilience just generally as a baseline. And in general happiness there too. So we know gratitude has been shown to change what the brain focuses on. If you can, practice gratitude in the short term, you're going to feel more motivated, more likely, and in the long run, you're going to continue to look for things that are, more positive, and it'll enhance your personal resilience. Yeah. So, how do we do a self-care plan? I think it's important to start by accepting where you're at, and also consider what you could do to enhance your health in your life. It's not a destination that we arrive at. It's something that we, really continue to work at. So I guess just consider what you can do daily, weekly, or monthly, which might help your well-being. Anything you choose, though, shouldn't add additional stress. It should be enjoyable and feel easy, really. Consider not just using self-care for when things go wrong, but also adding that baseline for general well-being, and then, having those strategies for when we might be negatively impacted. We know that when we're not feeling ourselves, it's even more critical to set some time aside. So just as you might take extra care to look after a sprain, do some extra stretches or exercises. If you're not feeling emotionally, that's a good point to recognize that we might need to take some extra time to take care of our emotional needs. As there's a wide range of activities that you can do. So if we're going to implement a bit of a plan, I know we've talked about scheduling, but I'd really encourage people to first ask themselves why. Why would they want to have a good self-care routine? And what are the potential benefits that they could reap? What might be different in their lives if they could do that? By doing so, we're going to focus on some of the aspects that are important and hopefully enhance some motivation there. And then we want to consider something that we would like to do. Maybe it's something that we've been thinking about doing that we're not doing, and something that we've just been putting off, for instance, or something might have slipped from our own routine and we'd like to re-engage with that. So it's nice to start on some of those things that we've already done or previously enjoyed. And then some other questions are maybe perhaps what are some of the things, however small, you could do to help you feel more relaxed or engaged. And with that task, I invite you to ask yourself, how might you feel if you did it? So if the answer is good, better, relaxed, or happy, then that's a good sign that that's a good self-care strategy for you. And then try to enhance whatever you're doing well. So some of the things that we're already doing that we might want to continue doing or enhance. So as we mentioned before, none of us have been through this before. It's all very new. And I think we should really give ourselves a pat on the back for all the things really that we're currently doing that are good. And perhaps we can dial up some of those things that we're already enjoying. Then consider those practicalities. So we want it to be realistic and specific and achievable. So how could you maintain some of those tasks as you transition back to work? Is a good question.
Yeah,
and
it's a big one, and that gets, you know, all of a sudden we go back to, you know, the way we can go back to the way things work quite easily as well, and that, so I guess it's, you know, definitely around, you know, scheduling, you know, what you're doing, when you're starting work, you know, how many hours you're working, and that, and giving yourself little breaks during the day as well.
Yeah, that's it. So having that plan, I think we've all talked about the benefits of having that plan and scheduling, and making things and well-being activities part of that routine. And that's why it's important, so you can continue to fit in all the things that bring you that joy or keep you well. But I would say try not to expect too much of yourself as you go back into work, because you're going to have a lot more on your plate than you did before. So you may have some more wobbles and it's not going to be perfect. So give yourself permission to kind of make those mistakes, you know, and work it out. I guess I would add, these things don't have to be big. You know, you could take a nice long bath or do some colouring or sit in the sun. You know, any of those little things can be quite nice. So you don't have to think of it as a big stressful tasks.
Yeah. And I think a big one is, you know, not being stuck in the four walls that we're stuck working in constantly either. And that, like, on a break, you know, instead of hanging around the restaurant and, you know, potentially, you know, doing nothing, feeling more tired, like sitting down, get outside in the sunshine, and see some actual daylight and some heat and some people, rather than just being stuck indoors all day. I know, you know, after doing that for many years, being in the industry for over 20 years, you know, how much that can actually affect you more, not actually leaving work. And I know that we've had, you know, parts of the industry and chefs which, you know, they're given a day off of work, like, don't come to work today, and they're turning up to work, like, and they're not taking that time out. And we've spoken with quite a lot about it, and, you know, I don't think they feel a purpose on their days off to go and do anything else. Work's all they know. And starting to break down those walls a little bit, and, you know, get out and enjoy it, or, you know, find at least a hobby, or have a hobby which, you know, you can switch off from work and, you know, do that. And that, whether it's, you know, coming home, I used to, you know, spend a lot of time, and that whenever I'd finish work for the day, it wouldn't matter what time, whether it was, you know, 11 o'clock at night or, you know, 1 in the afternoon, I'd come home and I'd play my piano for an hour when I got home.
Nice.
And that lifts the mood, puts you into a relaxed state. You forget about what you've been doing all day, and then you can get on with the important stuff, and that, like, you know, looking after yourself at home. It's, you know, I think a lot in the industry really need to, you know, find those hobbies, and that to make things, you know, easier, and also, you know, give you another outlet outside of just, you know, the daily grind constantly.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really great strategy. How long did it take you to work out that was something that would be nice for you?
I've done music for about 15 years, a bit longer.
Okay.
And was in the music scene, professional music scene, for a good 5 years. So I've spent, you know, already time around music, and music's very therapeutic. and that, like, whether, you know, you're just listening to it or you're actually playing it or doing it, it's probably one of the most powerful forms to actually relieve stress, I think, out there, and it works for me. So
Yeah.
work for a lot of others too.
Nice. It is something that works for a lot of others, listening to music or playing, and it really just gets you in that state of flow, really, because you have to fully concentrate on that task. And so really, yeah, it's great that you have that. It might take other people a little while to work out what it is for them, but you've also had that discipline to come home and do that, which is, you know, given you that extra energy and enjoyment and helped you switch modes. Yeah, which is great. So it's important to think about how you're going to do it. Like, what are you going to do in terms of your schedule, and when specifically too. So when might you do that task, and be specific. The more specific we are with what we want to do, the more likely we are to go and get started, really. So you've got those core foundations around sleep and diet, have positive and engaging relationships, and I guess mix that up with, you know, some self-compassion, gratitude and meaning, and how that looks like in terms of self-care is really up to you.
Definitely. No, great strategies there.
Thanks, Liam. I hope your listeners have got something to take away from it, and keep looking after themselves at the moment.
Oh, tell me about it. And, you know, there's so much we can take from the last 6 weeks. And, you know, if we put it into action, it's going to make our lives and our jobs so much simpler and less stressful as well, being in that, you know, pressure environment constantly. And that's, you know, that we need to do it for ourselves, and that to stay, you know, strong at what we do best.
Yep, 100%. And remember, with the habits talk, it gets easier as you keep building up. So just start small and just keep at it.
Yeah, definitely. No, well, thanks so much for joining us, Amanda. Not only today, but on Hospo Happy Hour over the last couple of weeks, and sharing your knowledge with our viewers. Give us some great tips and that to help, you know, to help themselves and look after themselves. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Liam. It's been great to be here.
Thank you. Joining us for Last Drinks today, we have special guest chef Zac Sykes. Welcome to the show, mate.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. So tell us, how have you been coping during COVID? It's been a tough time for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I was actually overseas when all this happened. So I got back and on the 21st of March, and you know, the country was in basically lockdown. So I had to adapt pretty quickly, but you know, I was in the same boat as everybody else. No work, and just trying to get through life, I guess.
Yeah. How did they handle you with lockdown? Did they send you home or send you to a hotel?
No, well, we were there. We got back just in time. We just had to quarantine at home, so that was good. Yeah, there was no. I mean, we still quarantined, but there wasn't like it was a hotel. We were confined to a hotel room. We were in our own place, so it was good.
It makes it a lot easier. A couple I know that've been stuck in hotels and that, which wasn't easy for them.
No, I would have gone fucking mad.
So a lot of us have had, you know, struggles, not just with COVID, but at other points of our career. What have you found challenging over the years, and what are some things that you've done to overcome those challenges?
Oh, well, last year I had a little bit of a realization that I had a problem with substances and alcohol. So I basically had to go and sort that out. I went to a detox facility, and yes, and it's been over a year since I've had a drug or a drink, and my mental clarity is a hell of a lot better. But the problem was I was drunk and high at work the whole time, and working and trying to do this, trying to be creative, and also trying to act straight and, you know, sober, which was, you know, a challenge in itself. So
yeah, and it makes it hard, especially when you're in high pressured roles well, to, you know, just keep that, you know, clarity from day to day and, you know, push through it. We're always looking for something to, you know, relax us or make us feel better and that, but it's quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, well, booze and drugs are a coping mechanism. So, yeah, I've just had to learn different ways now. You know, I exercise every day now. I eat well. You know, I actually have three meals a day now rather than, you know, one standing up at 5 o'clock, you know, while I'm in the shit. So, yeah, I've realised that I'm not invincible anymore. And I'm 41 years old now, and I've been a chef for 26 years.
Yeah.
So I've realised that I need to start taking care of myself, which has been a massive learning curve. I've never done it before, you know. I always thought I'd live hard and die young, and you know, now I feel like I want to live a little bit longer. So
I think that's been the case for like a lot of us. Like the mentality, you know, sometimes around the industry is, you know, work hard, play hard, like, you know, and it's sort of, you know, it doesn't help, you know, what we're doing.
No, definitely not.
And we're obviously, you know, around a lot more of it in a restaurant as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So other than exercising and eating well, what are some other ways that you've which you've found have helped your mental health over the past 12 months? Because I'm guessing it would have been challenging in itself, going, you know, through detox and, you know, getting well again.
Yeah, yoga really helped me.
Yeah.
Just getting out getting fresh air every day, you know, rather than being locked inside. You know, I go, you know, I take the dog for 4 to 5K walk every day, and you know, it's just good to get out in nature. And you know, I went hiking yesterday up in the Glasshouse Mountains, and you know, it's just staying active really helps to get those endorphins up. So yeah,
it certainly does. We've been talking about a lot of that on the show over the last 6 weeks, and exercise has been a massive one, and that for really, you know, stimulating your mental health. I know within the first 2 weeks of us getting locked down over here in Sydney, it affected me massively. I was like, wow, what have I just done for the last 20 years in the last 6 years?
Yeah.
And that for this, like, you know, I felt like someone was punishing me.
I went into a little bit of depression to start with, but and then I finished watching every show on Netflix possible, and I decided to get out and do some stuff, you know. So
No, that's awesome. So obviously, we like to, you know, give some positives to our viewers, and that not only coming out of COVID, but like things that they can do to, you know, help themselves or, you know, help their careers going forward into the future. What pointers can you give our viewers, Zac?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of help with my detox and, you know, my AA and therapy and whatnot. So, I guess just ask for help. It's not it's not a, you know, you won't be frowned upon for asking for help. And don't be afraid to talk out. You know, we've got that gone past that whole macho mentality where it's, you know, it's okay to talk about your feelings and your mental state, your well-being and whatnot. So I guess that'd be my advice.
And it's good advice, you know, and that reaching out and talking to someone when you need it, you have to do it, like your own sanity. And I said that at the beginning, you know, I had points over the first few weeks where, you know, I just had to call someone because I was like, I'm not doing okay. And I'm not doing well today. Like my brain feels like it's going to explode. I can't think past the next week, like the next month. And that definitely makes a big difference. And not feeling, you know, guilty about, you know, telling someone else, you know, your issues either.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what's next on the cards for Zac?
Well, I've just started my own business doing private dining in people's houses. So for groups up to about 12. I can sort of I'm catering for them, doing, you know, restaurant up to top end restaurant sort of quality. The company's called Chef Zac Sykes Private Dining. I've got a website, you can check that out as well, chefzacsykes.com. But yeah, I've just been doing some little gigs like that, and I think at this time it's working pretty well because people are not allowed to go out yet. And people are probably a little bit cautious to go out still. So you know, it's I probably come around at a good time. So, you know, you know, and the good thing is I'm cooking some nice food that I want to cook, and people are sort of trusting me to sort of just feed them. You know, I ask them if they've got any dietary requirements or any allergies, and you know, 90% of the clients are happy for me to go with it. So it's you know, it's keeping me entertained and, you know, getting a little bit of passion back. So.
And it's nice, like I know from private dining, it's nice to, you know, be around the client as well, as not just being behind the scenes all the time, and that interaction with them as well. It makes it quite enjoyable. Yeah,
exactly.
No, well, thanks for joining us on the show today, and best of luck with the business and going forward, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good to talk to you.
You too, buddy. Thanks so much.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
That's all we have time for on today's show. You can catch us back here on Wednesday for our second to last episode of Hospo Happy Hour. We'll be discussing building fitness to return to work with Jack Whitaker, followed by industry veteran Justin North, who is the co-founder and director of Concept Hospitality for Last Drinks. Big thanks to our guests on today's show and our partners Warner's Gin and Altius Group for the support. Stay strong and stay united in spirit to create a positive change for a healthier industry. I'm Chef Liam Crawley. Have a good night.